Good morning, class. Everyone, switch on your video, please. Everyone, please switch on your videos. Okay, if you have switched your videos on, I hope the others switch on their videos as well, okay? So, today we'll discuss about TB. Yesterday, I gave you a brief idea about what causes TB. TB is caused by a bacteria which is known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay, you can note that down. MYCO myco bacterium BACTERIUM Mycobacterium tuberculosis TUBERCULOSIS Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and the sources are human and bovine. So yesterday few were there in the class and I told them what bovine means. So if you say about the animal kingdom, it is divided into two types. One is bovine, the other is canine. If I say canine, it means the dogs and the cats. If I say bovine, it means your cow, goat, horses, all these animals, they fall under your bovine category. BOVINE, bovine. So bovine is another source for your Mycobacterium tuberculosis bacteria. Okay. And the most common source is usually the human only. So the transfer from a human host to another human is usually very common. And what happens in some cases, if one person is having TB and he is not treated fully, okay, or if he has not received his treatment, then in those cases the person is able to transmit the disease or the bacteria to the other person. And how bovine is related, if I say a cow, so if you take the milk from an infected cow, so in those cases also you can get TB. So not only humans but also your bovine animals can be the source of TB. Okay, clear till now? Clear till now the sources? Okay. So next is communicability. So by the term communicability, you mean that till when is a person able to transmit the disease from himself to the other person. That is known as your communicability. Means whether the person is capable of transforming the disease to some other person. Okay, that is your communicability. So how long a person can be infective? Okay, till the person has not received treatment, or if he has received treatment but has not completed his course of medications, in those cases also the person is infective. He can still transmit the disease in such cases. Everyone, please switch on your videos. See, I am telling repeatedly, okay, this is for your attendance purpose, so please switch on your videos. Kindly switch on your videos. Okay, so that is communicability. So by the term communicability, what you mean is till the person is able to transmit the disease to some other person. Okay, that is communicability. Now how will you check for tuberculosis? Okay, before that you need to know about the incubation period. Incubation period is about 3 to 6 weeks. Okay, means till the tuberculosis bacteria enters your body and you get the symptoms, so it takes about 3 to 6 weeks to get those symptoms. Now, what are the signs and symptoms of TB? Usually, cough. Cough is the foremost sign of TB, okay? And cough that usually lasts for about 3 weeks or long. So whenever a person is having cough and it is lasting for like 3 weeks or it is taking even longer, then the person can be suspected of TB. Okay, he needs to test for TB then. And also along with the cough, the person will be also coughing out blood as well. Okay, so along with the cough, the blood will also come out with it. Then the other is the person will have chest pain. Okay, because your lungs are not functioning well. So as a result, the person will also have chest pain. Along with it, since the person's immune system, okay, since the immune system is affected, so as a result, the person also gets weak. He gets weak and also the person gets susceptible to other diseases. So when you have diseases such as TB, the immune system that gets weakened. As a result, the person is also susceptible to other infections. So he can get other infections very easily. And usually when a person has TB, okay, one patient has got TB and other person has got AIDS. So in those cases, these two people are never kept in the same room in a hospital. Okay, even in the general ward, they will be separated because if a person has TB, he will have higher chances of getting AIDS. And if a person has got AIDS, he will have higher chances of getting TB because both these two diseases are very deadly and both these two diseases they weaken your immune system. So as a result, a person having TB and AIDS are susceptible to get the other diseases as well. Okay. And whenever you are treating patients, whenever you see a TB patient, you should never go in a hungry stomach. You should eat well before going for any patients. You should eat well, but in case of TB, you should never go on an empty stomach because that increases your risk of getting the infection. Okay. So there are some other signs and symptoms, which is your weight loss. Okay, the person will have weight loss. Then no appetite. No appetite means no hunger. The person will not feel hungry. Okay, the person will have chills, fever, and also sweating at night. Okay, these are some of the signs and symptoms of TB, or you can say clinical features. Now, there is a difference between the word when I say sign and the other word symptom. Do you know the difference between sign and symptom? Do you all know the difference? Sign and symptom? See, if I say sign, it means something that you can see from the outside. Okay. For example, weight loss. You can see that the person is losing weight. That can be a sign. Okay. But if the person is saying that I am not hungry, so you cannot see that. Okay. You will not know whether the person is hungry or not. Only the patient will know that he is not hungry. So that is a symptom. If you see a person, you can say, okay, this person is tired, this person has lost weight. So all these will come under your signs. Coughing, so by seeing a person you will know that okay, he is having cough. So these are some signs. If I say symptoms, symptoms are like only the person is feeling those, like he is having no appetite, he is feeling tired. Again, if he is feeling tired, that is a symptom. But if you are seeing the person is weak, that can be a sign. Okay, so this is the difference between sign and symptom. Okay, getting me, or you want me to repeat this? You're getting this, or you want me to repeat this? Sign and symptom. Okay, so these were some of the signs and symptoms of TB. Next is we have certain tests. Okay, certain tests for TB. As I told you, these are HIF test, HELF HIF test, time test, TINE time test, and the last is your Mentox test, MANTOUX. Okay, Mentox test. Now, all the tests are usually not done. The one test that is taken into consideration is your Mentox test. Okay. So you need to know about this test. What happens in case of Mentox test is you are injected into your forearm with tuberculin unit. Tuberculin unit, that is a unit of the bacteria only that was causing the disease. Okay, it is given in a very mild form. So it will not cause all the signs and symptoms, but it will have some reactions. Means the bacteria that was causing TB, that bacteria is only injected into your body so that you will show certain signs, okay, but not all the signs and symptoms, and then it will be known whether the person is having TB or not. And it is given in very small amount like 0.1 ml. Okay, that is a very small amount, 0.1 ml. So what happens is that they check for tuberculin reaction. So what is tuberculin reaction? So yesterday I showed you the flexor aspect and the extensor aspect. Okay, so I'll show that. I have to show that to you again because many were absent yesterday. So this is your forearm and this is the flexor aspect. If you turn the hand upside down or if you turn it around, then the other aspect or the opposite aspect, you call it as the extensor aspect. This is the flexor aspect, and this is the region where you inject this tuberculin unit. Okay, only 0.1 ml is being injected, and after that they check for some reactions, like after giving this injection within 72 hours. Okay, wherever this injection is given, after 72 hours, within that period the person will have erythema. Erythema means redness. Okay, redness in that area, and also induration. Now induration means hardness. So if I say in simpler words, wherever this tuberculin unit is injected, so in that area you will have redness, and along with redness you will have a bit of hardness in that area. Okay, within 72 hours. So after injection, within 72 hours you will have redness and hardness. Now they will check how much region this hardness or this redness is present. Okay, they will check it. So what happens is that in some cases, if this redness and this hardness, it exceeds or it is more than like 10 millimeter, then the person is considered positive for TB. If this redness and hardness is less than 10 millimeter, the person is considered negative. And sometimes in between 6 to 9 millimeter, the person is considered doubtful. Clear? I'll show you a picture. Can you all see this? So the first one, it's written that no induration. So maybe there was no hardness, but then it is a very small one. The redness, it is for a very small area. So you can consider like if it is less than 10 millimeter and it is that small. So in those cases, the test is considered negative. Okay. So in the next one, as you can see, the redness, it is for a bit, it is bit longer. So it is more than 10 millimeter. So in those cases, it is considered positive. Okay, means you will measure this. How much is the redness and how much is the hardness? You will usually measure this with a scale only. So they will see that. So if it is less, like the first one, and it is very small, means after the injection, you will surely have some kind of redness in that area. So if it is less, like in the first one, so it will be considered negative. And if it is more, like in the second picture, so it is considered positive. Clear?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next, there are certain drugs that are used to treat TB. Okay, you need to know the name of these drugs. So some are your bactericidal drugs and some are your bacteriostatic drugs. If I say bactericidal drugs, these means these drugs will kill the bacteria that is causing TB. Okay, that is your bactericidal drug. Next is your bacteriostatic drug. If I say bacteriostatic, it means this will stop the growth of bacteria. Okay, if you break the word, you will get to see this. Bactericidal. If we say like suicide, it means death. Okay, so bactericidal, it means the death of the bacteria. If I say bacteriostatic, static means the growth has stopped. So that is called your bacteriostatic drug. Now there are certain names for these bactericidal and bacteriostatic drugs. I'll give you the notes so you will get it there. But I'll just read it out once. Bactericidal drugs are rifampicin, isoniazid and streptomycin. Okay. If you want to note it down, then you can note it down. Okay. Bactericidal rifampicin, RIFAMPICIN, rifampicin. Next is your streptomycin. STREPTOMYCN, streptomycin. And the last is pyrazinamide. PYRA, pyrazinamide. ZENAMIDE. Pyrazinamide. And then next, these three were your bactericidal drugs. Sorry, four. These four were your bactericidal drugs. Next, you have bacteriostatic drugs. In bacteriostatic drugs, there are two are usually used, which are, first one is your ethambutol. ETHAM, ethambutol. BUTOL, butol, ethambutol. And the next is thioacetazone. THIO, thioacetazone. ACETAZONE. Written the name of these drugs. Written. Have you all written it, the name of these drugs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So with these drugs, what we do is a short course chemotherapy. Chemotherapy means treatment with drugs only. That is your chemotherapy. So this short course one, this one is usually, it has a number of advantages. Why? Because first one is the patient, they follow it more. Okay, the compliance of the patients are more, since it is for a short period of time. So in those cases, and also the drugs are very less. Okay, they divide the period of time and they give some drugs for a certain amount of time and the other drugs for another period of time. So because of that, the patient, they usually tend to follow this short course chemotherapy. Okay. Next is the other advantage is low failure rate. Means these drugs are usually effective. They bring the desired effect and the failure rate is very low. And then the low emergence of drug resistant bacilli, means the bacteria which is causing the disease, so these are not resistant to these drugs. Means sometimes what happen is that if you keep on using the same drug for a kind of virus, after some period that virus will become resistant to the drug, which means the virus will not be killed or its growth will not be stopped by that medication because it is getting used to it. Like for example, if I say if you keep on beating a child, after some period of time the child will not be effective to that those beatings and scoldings. Okay, the child, he will be resistant to those. He will be like, okay chalo maar khata hi rehta hai, to he will not react to that. So similar is in case of your viruses and your bacteria. If they are getting the same medicines or the same medications, what happens is that they usually do not react to those medications. But in short course chemotherapy, the drugs that you are using, what happens is that the bacteria, this does not get resistant. So every time you use these drugs, the bacteria, the growth is stopped. Clear? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how is the short course chemotherapy done? It initially you have an intensive phase, and in that phase for 2 months you give 4 drugs. Okay, I'll give you the name of these drugs. These are isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide, and ethambutol. That I told you. Okay, I have told you about those drugs. So these drugs, at first, these 4 drugs are used for 2 months. Okay, and after the period of 2 months, we have a continuation phase. So again, for the next 4 months, we use only two drugs, which are isoniazid and rifampicin. That is how your short course chemotherapy is undertaken, which means at first we use 4 drugs for 2 months, and after that, after the finishing of those drugs for 2 months, for the next 4 months you use 2 drugs. Okay, that is your short course chemotherapy. Clear? Clear? Or you
Yes,
want
ma'am.
okay. And under short course chemotherapy, we have this DOTS. DOTS is also used as a preventive measure. The full form of DOTS is Direct Observe Treatment Short Course Chemotherapy. So it is again done for 6 months, and it is a observational treatment. Okay. So certain drugs are given for like your 6 months, and within that 6 months, the patient is monitored. Okay. The healthcare worker will call them. Then after like every month or so, or after every like 15 days or so, they will be monitored, like whether the drugs is having effect on them or not. Okay. So this is known as your DOTS treatment, where you give the medications, and along with that, you also do the monitoring. You also do the observation along with your medication. So that is known as your DOTS. Clear? Clear DOTS? You want me to repeat?
Repeat.
Okay. DOTS means direct observed treatment, short course chemotherapy. So what happens is that it is a observational treatment. So you are given drugs for 6 months, and it's not like after you finish the drug you will not be observed, or during that period you will not be observed. So what happens here is, if you are given these drugs for a period of 6 months, so within that period the healthcare worker will also check like what are the effects of the drugs on you, whether the drug is having the effect that is required for a person. So they will keep on checking, means the treatment is also going on, and along with the treatment they will also monitor like whether the drugs that were given, they are helping you or not. So just in simple terms you can call it a observational treatment. Okay, and it goes on for a period of 6 months. Means medications are given to the person for a period of 6 months, and in within that period the person is also observed, like whether he is getting good results from the drugs or not. So under proper monitoring you will have this medications, that is known as your DOTS treatment. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, there is a vaccination for TB, that is known as your BCG vaccination. BCG. So the spelling is Bacillus calmette-guerin. Okay, Bacillus, BACILLUS. Bacillus calmette-guerin. CALMETTE, calmette-guerin. GUERIN. Bacillus calmette-guerin. This is the vaccination that we use for TB. So Calmette and Guerin are nothing but the names of the scientists who developed this BCG vaccination. So B for Bacillus and Calmette and Guerin are the names of the scientists who discovered this disease. Sorry, this vaccination. Okay, clear?
Ma'am.
Okay. So this was about your TB. So we discussed about the agent, the sources of TB, the communicability, about the test, then about the drugs used in TB, then about the short course chemotherapy, and after that the vaccine that is used in TB. So this was all in TB, and this will be enough, okay? And also I told you about the clinical features. Okay, so we'll end up the class now. Any one of you give me the attendance, okay? Tomorrow we'll discuss about poliomyelitis. So there is a term which is known as your post polio syndrome. So I want you all to read about that. Okay, what is post polio syndrome? I'll explain it to you, but I want you to do a bit of study regarding that. Okay, post polio syndrome. Okay, so will give me the attendance. Is the CR here? Is the CR here? If
No,
no,
ma'am.
okay, then any one of you can give me the attendance. Okay.
Ma'am, I sent it also.